From the 32nd floor of the Chicago Financial Group, Megan Williams could see the tall buildings of the city stretching far into the distance. The afternoon sun glowed faintly on the glass windows, but inside her office, the lights were still on. Megan had just finished a long meeting with her final client of the day. Her body slumped into her chair, tiredness written all over her face. Her desk was buried under a mountain of papers, reports, and financial statements that still needed to be reviewed. Megan was one of the best financial consultants in Chicago. People trusted her with big decisions. She was smart, hardworking, and always calm under pressure, but none of that changed how tired she felt sometimes. Just then, her coworker Jessica poked her head through the door. "Working late again?" Jessica asked with a warm smile. Megan gave a small smile back. "Yeah, I have to finish the quarterly report tonight." Even though she smiled, Jessica could see the tiredness in Megan's eyes, but she also noticed something else: strength. Megan had a kind of quiet strength, the kind that came from years of pushing forward, no matter what. Jessica stepped into the office. "You're such a hard worker, Megan. You should take a break. Why don't you join us for brunch this Sunday?" Megan hesitated, then she shook her head gently. "I can't. I'm going to visit my parents on Sunday." Her voice softened a bit, and Jessica noticed the change. Megan didn't talk about her family much, but when she did, there was always something a little heavy behind her words. "Ah, a family get-together," Jessica said. "Will your sister be there too?" "Yeah," Megan said quietly. "Brittany and her husband are coming too." Megan opened her desk drawer and pulled out a document. It was a bank transfer record, $5,000 for last month. She stared at it for a moment, her expression unreadable. There had been 120 payments like this one, over $600,000 in total. The original student loan was $500,000, but with interest, it had grown even more. She sighed deeply. It had been 10 years since she started Harvard Business School. Her parents had promised to lend her the money for tuition, but there was a catch: they expected her to pay it back in full, and she did, every month, without fail. Meanwhile, her younger sister Brittany had gone to Yale. Their parents paid all her tuition in full, no strings attached. That memory still hurt. No one ever said it out loud, but the message had been clear: Brittany was their favorite. "Actually," Megan added softly, "my sister is pregnant." Jessica's face lit up. "Wow, congratulations, you're going to be an aunt." Megan nodded, but her smile didn't reach her eyes. "Thanks, my mom is so excited. She calls me almost every day. How's Brittany feeling? Is the morning sickness bad?" Stuff like that. Jessica gave her a look. She was one of the few people who knew the truth about Megan's family. She had heard the stories, the favoritism, the pressure, the coldness Megan had grown up with. Megan glanced down at the transfer record again. She had worked hard, kept her promises, paid her debts, and never once complained. But to her father, Howard Williams, it never seemed to matter. "You always fall short," he used to say. He had said those words so many times over the years that they were burned into her memory. She heard them in her head even now. Brittany, on the other hand, had always been the golden child. She knew how to please their parents. She smiled at the right times, said the right things. She had studied psychology and then joined the charity division of their father's company. When she married Ryan Morris, a wealthy real estate developer, 2 years ago, her parents couldn't have been prouder. They told everyone how perfect she was and how lucky they were to have a daughter like her. Megan had been a bridesmaid at Brittany's big wedding. It had been beautiful, white roses everywhere, soft music playing, the church filled with guests. Megan had smiled and cheered, but deep inside, a small part of her heart broke. As she watched her sister walk down the aisle on their father's arm, she felt tears in her eyes, not just for Brittany's happiness, but because that kind of love and pride from her father was something Megan knew she would never have. Jessica had heard the wedding had cost nearly $3 million. "Is it true?" she had asked Megan one day. Megan had just shrugged. She didn't know all the details. What she didn't know then was that some of the money used for that extravagant wedding had come from the repayments Megan had been making every month. Now, 2 years later, Brittany's pregnancy had made their parents even more focused on her. Megan could feel it more than ever. Just last Sunday, at their family dinner, Megan had tried to share some good news. A huge project she'd managed for a major client had just been completed successfully. But before she could even finish her sentence, her mother had cut her off. "By the way, Brittany," her mother had said, turning quickly, "how's the morning sickness? When I was pregnant, It was awful. And just like that, the conversation shifted back to Brittany. No one asked about Megan's project again. She had sat there, quietly picking at her food, her news left unspoken, her voice unheard. It wasn't the first time, and she knew it wouldn't be the last. The room was quiet, uncomfortably quiet. Megan sat up in her hospital bed, her body weak but her eyes sharp. Across from her, her father sat down slowly into the visitor's chair, his shoulders slumped. He looked as if a heavy weight had finally become too much to carry. For Brittany's sake, he started to say, but his voice faded. There was a long pause. Then, in a small, tired voice, he finally confessed, "Actually, we've been having some financial problems." Megan blinked in surprise. "Financial problems?" she repeated, then her voice turned cold, edged with disbelief. "How bad is it?" Her mother looked away for a moment, then sighed, "Quite a lot, to be honest," she admitted, her voice filled with guilt. "Without your loan repayments, we probably would have gone bankrupt." Megan stared at them in disbelief. Her parents had always acted like they were wealthy, beautiful house, expensive clothes, luxury vacations. She had believed it too, but now she wondered, was that all just for show? Her father cleared his throat and began to explain slowly, as if choosing his words carefully. "It started with Brittany's wedding. The cost was much more than we expected. Then we helped her and Ryan buy their new house. And recently, we spent even more for the baby shower. All of that came from your loan repayments." Megan's chest tightened. "You mean, the money I worked hard for, the money I sent every single month, went to Brittany's lifestyle?" Her father nodded reluctantly. "And we also had to take out more loans." "More loans?" Megan repeated, stunned. "Yes," her mother said quietly. "We used your grandparents' property as collateral." Megan's mouth fell open. "You risked Grandma and Grandpa's property?" Her voice was trembling now, both from shock and anger. "Do they even know?" "No," her father said, "and I want to keep it that way. That's actually why I came today. I want you to stop pushing the estate claim. I want that property saved for Brittany's child's future." That was the final blow. Megan felt like someone had punched her in the stomach. Her last bit of hope, that maybe, just maybe, her parents still cared about her, shattered right in front of her. She sat quietly for a moment, trying to steady her breath. Then, in a calm but firm voice, she said, "For 10 years, I paid that loan, month after month. I sent money, I skipped vacations, I cut back on shopping, I sacrificed my time, my energy, my life, just to repay that debt." Her voice grew a little stronger. "And you used it all, for Brittany. Not once did you say thank you, not once did you offer help. And when I was in that car accident, lying in pain, where were you? At a party in Hawaii." Her mother opened her mouth, but Megan raised her hand. "I'm done," Megan said softly. "The legal proceedings for the estate will continue. I'm not stopping anything. Now, please leave." "Megan, please," her mother begged, tears forming in her eyes. "We're family." Megan gave a sad, bitter smile. "Family? A real family shows up when you're hurting. A real family doesn't forget you exist unless they need something." Right then, the hospital room door opened. A nurse walked in, glanced at the machines, and then at Megan. "Your blood pressure is going up," she said with concern. "Did something happen?" Megan shook her head gently, her voice calm. "No, nothing serious. My parents were just leaving." The nurse turned to Judith and Howard. Her tone was polite but firm. "I'm sorry, but I need to ask you to step out. The patient needs rest." Her parents stood up slowly, looking shocked and unsure. They hesitated, hoping for Megan to say something more, but she didn't. She kept her eyes on the blanket covering her legs, never looking up. The silence was louder than any words. The door closed behind them. And finally, Megan let out the breath she'd been holding. Her shoulders sagged, her hands unclenched. A strange calm settled over her. She was free. For the first time in a long time, she felt it. The heavy chains of guilt, duty, and pain had finally broken. Her past would no longer hold her back. This was the beginning of her new life. A real beginning.